This is WOMM LP operating out Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator. Good evening, it's The Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Tom Proctor. With me tonight is Loud Moon. Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Hello.
Good. Hot, as I think we all are in this last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's not too bad though. We're kind of from down south. We grew up in Arizona, and so this isn't too bad for us.
This is February for you.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah. Well, I can see why you moved up. So you're not like just cinder blocks now. Well, we like to start out with a song. So what have you got for us?
All right, cool. We wrote this one about, I think, 4 years ago now. She was doing archaeology in New Mexico, and we were like, there's a group that went missing called the Desaparecidos, which means the disappeared in Spanish. And we were planning on going to Argentina to go look for these bones and the families that went missing. And we haven't gone yet, but we wrote a song about Argentina, and we thought, how dreary to write a sad song. And we said, well, if we're going to write a song about Argentina, let's make it kind of a happy song. So this was one of the first songs that we wrote. This one's called Argentina. It goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I got the red eye. If I ever wake up, I'll be a Jedi on vacation. Listen what I'm saying. Spend a little time if we had a little time. You and I, baby. We could get a little crazy. So get a little crazy, you such a daisy lady. You could be baby and I'm Patrick Swayze. No Donnie Darko or waking up in Reno though. Just dirty dancing, yeah, straight romancing.
So tell me what you're going through. Even if your skies aren't blue, I'm always here to groove with you.
Cause I'm your baby, even when I'm crazy. Can't sleep, I got the red eye. If I ever wake up, I'll be a Jedi on vacation. Listen what I'm saying. Spend a little time if we had a little time. You and I, baby. We could get a little crazy.
Hey, you, let's take a trip to Argentina. Down south where life's a little sweeter. Spend our days bathing in the sun rays, losing our ways in Los Cenotes.
Argentina, never seen it, but it sounds nice. Picture you and me by the fire dancing beside. Shake it up all night. Shake it, shake, shake, shake it, shake, shake. Bed bugs can't sleep, I got the red eye. If I ever wake up, I'll be a Jedi. Bed bugs, I can't sleep, those red eyes. Bed bugs can't sleep, I got the red eye. If I ever wake up, I'll be a Jedi. Bed bugs, I can't sleep, those red eyes.
All right, Loud Moon there with Argentina. So, interesting topic for a song that disappeared. I actually lived in Buenos Aires for about a year, so I heard a little bit about that. Folks that were disappeared by the fascist government at the time. Very interesting topic for a song, especially as well. At least from the song, you say you've not been there before. Why was it this particular issue that kind of captured the imagination?
So I was in college at the time at UNM, and I was studying history and archaeology, and I was focused on like Chilean and like Argentinian history and archaeology. And I actually majored in like osteology, so identification of bones. So I'm really into that. And then I became a teacher instead, but things happen.
Yeah,
someday.
Yeah, someday. yeah, quite interesting. When I think of archaeology, I think of civilizations past, whereas this is something that's fairly recent. I mean, in the last 50, 60 years or so, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it mostly happened in the like late 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Do you tend to write songs around these interests that you have? Is there other songs about archaeology, perhaps, or history, or various other fascist murders of the last 100 years?
I don't think necessarily about archaeology. I mean, we just kind of write about whatever's going on. So whatever we're going through, whatever we're living through, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
on that note, I mean, as you mentioned at the top, you are from Arizona, and I read New Mexico as well. Is that right? And moved up here in 2020. So I imagine that transition was fairly wild. I mean, the two kind of ecosystems couldn't be too much further away from each other. Is that something that's kind of played into the music that you've been creating?
It has. We had both. It was wildly different, but it's not something that we hadn't experienced before. We've done quite a bit of traveling, and so, we've been to Ireland, and she'd been to Japan, and all over the United States, Mexico, and so coming up here wasn't necessarily like a culture shock to us. It was just a different kind of place to be, and so it did. The last song we're gonna play is actually kind of about how we were feeling when we first moved here. But yeah, it's just whatever's going on. Whatever we're feeling at the time, you know. Could be like the next song we're gonna play is called "Parking Lot Pie," and she named it that because I went to the grocery store and I forget to bring bags because that's who I am, and so I get there and the lady was like, "Do you need a bag?" And I was like, "Nah. I'm a man, I can carry all this." And so like I stacked it up, and I had the leaning tower of groceries on the way out of the parking lot, and there was a pie on the top, and it slipped and smashed, and I like scooped it up and brought it home. And I get back up the stairs, and she's looking at it, she's like, "What happened to the pie?" And I was like, "I dropped it in the parking lot." And she was like, "Oh, are we gonna eat it?" And I was like, "It looks okay mostly." I was like, "Well, yeah, we could eat it." And then
It didn't look that bad, and he said that it stayed in the package mostly.
Not even a 5-second rule in that case.
no, yeah, it was. I mean, I was
Yeah.
like not gonna let any pie go to waste on my watch.
But
And-
it was strawberry rhubarb pie, and that's not really a thing in New Mexico. So when we moved up here, I was so excited about that pie, and I've like become slightly obsessed with it. So
we were working on this song about getting older and just playing music because it's what we love to do, and it was about like not giving up. And we were like, yeah, we're getting older, but like, why would we stop doing this thing that we love? And the whole pie incident happened right in the middle, and I was like, what do you want to name this song? And she's like, well, what about Parking Lot Pie? And I was like, it's got nothing to do with the song. And she goes, yeah. And I said, all right, I'm in. So anyway, the next one that we're going to play is called Parking Lot Pie. And
I see. So the songs may not necessarily have anything to do with the name that's attached to them.
or I mean, yeah, and it could be what's going on in our life, or maybe what we're feeling, or I mean, there's no structure when we sit down to write songs. It's kind of like, what's on your mind? What's on your mind? Well, I had this idea, and that's all it is.
So, if correct me if I am wrong, but you two are a couple.
yeah.
We're anniversary is tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Oh, congratulations!
Our
5-year anniversary. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, big congratulations. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you're on Big Heavy World to celebrate. Obviously, that's
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure that was the intention when you were first booked.
Exactly.
As a couple who songwrite and you kind of use this space to kind of say what's in your mind, do you use songwriting and collaboration as a way of talking to each other about things that might be harder to talk about, or things that maybe subconsciously you have kind of put to the side, maybe not difficult to talk about, but you haven't really, it's not really bubbled up yet?
Yeah, absolutely. She'll write a verse. She's like, hey, I wrote this verse. I'm like, what's that supposed to mean? She's like, oh, nothing. No, yeah, it definitely comes up in songwriting, inevitably, I think, because we express ourselves through songwriting. And so if we're feeling emotional about something, it inevitably will come to the surface through lyrics on both of our parts, I would say.
Yeah, we actually we have a song May, and May it's like a very like personal experience between like the two of us. Like we've been trying to have a baby for a while now, and it just doesn't want to happen.
Yeah. So
And so like that's what that song is about just like the struggle of like really wanting something and not being able to get it. And it's, you know, it's neither of our faults, but it's just one of those things. And yeah, it comes out in our music.
yeah, for sure.
I can definitely sympathise on that one. My sister and her partner went through the same thing for about 2.5 years, and IVF thankfully came through in the end, but it was quite the strain at the time. So you mentioned that you kind of had that conversation a while back about wanting to continue making music. It's what you love doing. Clearly, you two love doing it together. What's the background there then? Because obviously that's a continuation of doing this, means that there was obviously a before. So what was the before?
So, I won't speak for you. I can speak for myself. I kind of know yours, but you'd explain it better. My musical background has been like, I picked up a guitar when I was about 14. I had an old drunk neighbor who played. He panhandled. That's all he did. And I was just like, I had been in love with music before that because I had a pretty screwed up childhood, so it was always an escape for me. I could put the headphones on and just not worry about anything. And Jimmy was his name. I remember Jimmy came home one day and had a little guitar, like a practice guitar, and it wasn't much to speak of, but it kind of got me started. And from then, I started playing bass guitar in jazz band in high school, and then I went to the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences in Phoenix, and then playing in bands my whole life, and doing audio engineering. And I've been in hard rock bands and country bands, and I just finished a hip hop project with a buddy of mine a few years ago. So it's always like I'll get to work, I'll write like an album with friends mostly, and then we'll sit down and record it all, and then I'll move on to like whatever the next project was. This has become a very stable project, which is awesome. It's not something that's, you know, I sit down and work on for a couple of years and it's over. It's like, oh, here's a stable thing that's residual. This is fun. I like this a lot.
And how about yourself?
I music has always been part of my life. I was in, you know, elementary band, middle school band. My dad played guitar when I was a kid, so that was a big thing in my life. And he plays guitar now, so he didn't like stop. But yeah, I never really did anything with it until we started dating, and he was like, "Hey, you want to write a song with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever, sure." And yeah, we never stopped writing songs. So
It's a sign of a good partner or a good collaborator, at least. So that's
Both.
fun. Both. And so it's interesting. So you both kind of play vastly different genres to what you're playing now, which is kind of like, you know, that folksy, bluesy kind of singer-songwriter style. You said you're in hard rock and hip hop, and how did you kind of, as a partnership, as collaborators, how do you settle on kind of this specific genre?
It's usually I'm like, hey, I wrote this thing. She's like, no. All right, that'll go. I'll just file it away in like some side project. I'm like, all right, that'll be good here. No, it's a mutual thing. I think the thing that is really cool and a rule that I like to live by when you're making art and collaborating with somebody else is like, if the other person says no, then it's off the table. It doesn't matter how much you like it. Like if she brings something and I go, I don't really like it. That way, nothing ends up in the song that neither one of you like. There's only stuff that both of you like, and I think that's a really good way to approach it. That way, there's no, you know, you're not listening to a song going, man, I really hate that part. I wish I wouldn't have put that in there, because those parts don't exist.
yeah, well, and it's nice too, because if he writes something and I'm just not into it for the Loud Moon thing, he can just do his own thing. Like he releases music under his Just Jader all the time, so he can still take the things that he writes that I'm not into and do what he wants with them. And I mean, I don't put out anything myself, because that would just probably not go well. But
I'd listen.
yeah.
I'd listen.
You'd listen, yeah. Okay.
I'm kind of curious on that. Why don't you think it would go well?
Oh, well, because I can't play anything that, I can't play guitar or piano. All I can play is bass and violin. So it would be very interesting. Like there would be no like rhythm.
Like skeleton to the song.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. So yeah.
I just need a drum machine.
Right, there we go,
just
yeah.
Click the drum machine on and then have at it. I guess that's still collaborating in a way.
Yeah, yeah. I could try that someday. I did try to write lo-fi once. That was interesting.
I'd still like to hear some lo-fi from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good music to study with anyway.
For sure.
Well, we would love to hear another song. So
Okay.
what
All
we
right,
got for
cool.
us?
Yeah, this one's the Parking Lot Pie song that we were talking about.
Me on the corner, diamond breaking. I'm checking out of this room for good. Honey, why does your lip keep shaking? You know I'd change things if I could. And if you think about it, it's kind of funny. But never really understand, we'll just keep running. And it was never about the money. It was always just you and me. They'll never take us, they'll never take us, they're never gonna take us alive. And we never, never ever, we never ever ever say die. They'll never take us, they'll never take us, they're never gonna take us alive. And we never, never ever, we never ever ever say die. Biting the riptide, fighting the landslide. Life is lifeless and I'm selling it all. Wish I could go back to the last that I met you. You in that dress and life is a ball. And if you think about it, it's kind of funny, but never really understand. We'll just keep running. And it was never about the money. It was always just you and me. They'll never take us, they'll never take us, they're never gonna take us alive. And we never, never ever, we never ever ever say die. They'll never take us, they'll never take us, they're never gonna take us alive. And we never, never ever, we never ever ever say die. We never ever ever say die. We never, ever. Ever. Ever?
Ever?
Say die.
All right, that was Parking Lot Pie by Loud Moon. So I did notice when I was having a little look at your website, super high production values on the video that you kind of posted, the one on the front page. And then I also noticed you've got some really great graphics as well for Loud Moon, as well as a couple of other projects I'll probably talk to you guys about a bit later. So were these skills that you learnt in order to display your music in this kind of professional, slick fashion, or are these skills you've previously had or cultivated that you've kind of married with the music that you've got, you know, in order to try and promote it?
So actually, a lot of our video work was done by a friend. So we did do a lot of work with video and learn a lot about video, but I think the videos on our website are the ones that Anthony did.
Anthony Marquez, yeah, I think he's
Yeah.
local.
Yeah.
We ran into him in St. Jay, and he approached us and was like, "Can I please work with you guys?" And we were like, "Yeah, sure." And we had a blast. That guy, as far as his art goes, is that guy, in my opinion, he's a visionary. That guy's a genius when it comes to video. He's a magician. That's what I call him.
Yeah. So he did our video, and then as far as like our logo and stuff, so I kind of have had like a basic idea, but I'm not a graphic designer. I've tried. I'm not good enough. So we had another friend, Steven,
Steven
Gypsy
runs-
Coast
Yeah.
in St. Johnsbury, and he does logos and like T-shirts and all that. And so he took my idea and made it into our logo.
All right.
Yeah,
So-
and Gypsy's he's a great artist, got a great clothing line, so I'm gonna plug him real quick. Check out Gypsy Coast, he's awesome.
Yeah, so both of these artists, either graphic designer or a videographer, both St. Johnsbury. I thought you guys moved to Burlington. Am I wrong in thinking that? Were you St. Johnsbury people?
We're in St. Johnsbury.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah, we've been there for a couple years. We found a little apartment. Housing was a little hard to find when we moved up here, but yeah, we got an apartment there, and we've been there for the last 2 years now.
So did you do the whole Vermont thing, come up, struggle to find an apartment, get yourself a dog like a poodle or a
Two dogs.
Rottweiler or 2 dogs?
we had
We
two.
actually had them
yeah.
already. No, we actually we rented an apartment that we had never seen. I just found one, I think in the newspaper. I pulled up the newspaper in New Mexico and I called and I told the guy, I was like, we have 2 dogs and a cat and we need a place to live. And I'm a teacher, so please help us out. And he was like, okay, yeah. And so he rented us the apartment and it
Yeah.
was not as nice as I thought it was going to be, but it's fine. And we still live there, so it's okay.
It's a roof over our heads
It
for
is,
sure.
yeah.
We're thankful to have it.
The story of renting in Vermont in a nutshell, right there, actually.
Right.
Sight unseen, and then also never quite as good as you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so St. Johnsbury, obviously you're in the Northeast Kingdom, although my girlfriend will hate me for saying that because she's from the NEK and she's like anywhere it's not below Willoughby. Anywhere below Willoughby is not the Northeast Kingdom apparently.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, debatable. So yeah, it seems like you got very much you've got very much embedded into the community there. You've got friends there that are helping out the graphics and helping out the videography. Is that kind of crossed over to musical collaboration as well? Or is it kind of just more, you come with the music, some people come with the graphics, some people come with the videography and kind of see what happens?
I've kind of brushed a little bit musically with some local musicians. There's a guy, Mike Sundman, out of Littleton, and he's my favorite guitarist on the planet. He's a killer, and we caught him. We were playing Littleton First Fridays, and I caught him on the street there, and I said, "Hey, we got a show on Sunday. You want to come sit in with us?" And we had never played with him before, and he was just like, send me a message on Facebook, like very reluctantly. And in my head, I was like, this guy's not going to come hang out with us. And then he replied and was like, yeah, okay, yeah, let me do it. And so he sat in with us, and we've had him, we're going to have him this Saturday, actually, at one of our shows. And so that he's been influencing our music a little bit, just adding killer leads on stuff, which fits right in because, like, most of my stuff is rhythm, and we do the vocal stuff. And to have a killer lead guitarist sit in is kind of given a new direction to what we're doing, which is cool. And there's been some other musicians that I've talked about collaborating with and stuff like that. Nothing in stone yet, but...
Well, and even though we haven't, like, really sat down and played with a lot of other musicians out here, we've made some, like, really great connections, like in the Northeast Kingdom area and in New Hampshire, like in the Littleton area. We've made a lot of friends out there, and
the community's great.
yeah. Everybody's been super welcoming, like the First Fridays, they've had us playing those. They're going to have us opening up for the main stage act on the next one. Like, they've been really great for us.
Yeah,
us.
Yeah, and just really good, genuine people. Like, we've had no, like, famine mentality or competitive nature moving up here. Everyone's very just open arms. Hey, welcome, cool. Come have a good time. How can we help you? And that's been such a great thing about this area.
Is that in contrast to how it is in the South? Is it New Mexico? Was it always kind of like you're kind of competing against the next act that's coming on and a little bit backstabby, a little bit like people bad mouthing each other?
I wouldn't say that, but it just wasn't as welcoming. It was. It's still the Wild West out there.
I see. Have you guys managed to make it up to the dog church? Yeah. In
Yeah.
St. J. Have you married your two dogs, or is that weird because
No,
they're like
I mean
brother
we
and sister or something?
could. I don't know that they would want to be married to each other. We call them brothers, so it might
Okay.
be. They might not be into that. I don't know.
They might be. Who
They might
knows?
be. I don't know.
I don't judge. I don't
Yeah.
judge.
I don't know, but
But-
we have brought them up there. Yeah, it's a cool place.
They do 3 concerts, and hopefully we'll be back from Tucson to catch Hannah Wickland's going to be up there. She's a killer. I can't wait to see her again live. I caught her here in Burlington, actually, at Higher Ground. She opened for Marcus King, and I didn't know that he had brought an opener on the road with him, and she stole the show. She blew my mind. And
From Marcus King, that's a pretty difficult act to come before. To be
she's a
honest.
killer. She's a killer, yeah. And when she got off stage, everybody kind of just picked their jaws up. We were all just like, what just happened? And so, yeah, she'll be there at the 14th, I think. And I want to make that show. That's something I definitely want to go check out.
Maybe bring the dogs. Maybe marry them in the church. We'll see.
Who knows? You know, make a
Who
day of it.
knows? Who knows what'll happen?
It's an excuse for a honeymoon. So have you found your style and approach to music change since you've come up, or is it 5 years ago you met, or 5 years ago got married, but previous to that you met and it happened and it worked and that's what it sounded like, and you just kind of you're continuing that to this day, or did you notice kind of a shift when you moved because of things changing, and obviously it's not just like your own personal lives but also globally you did also move it during a pandemic. Did you see kind of a noticeable shift in the way you're approaching or the sound of your songs?
I think so, yeah. And I don't think and I'm sure all of those factors are factors. But I think that change is inevitable. If you put me in a room, I'm inevitable. Like I can't just write the same stuff over and over and over. I'd drive myself crazy. And so I think that the change is sort of something that was bound to happen. But everything that you just mentioned definitely played a factor in some way. And I think we started off very acoustic folk, and I think we're much different now.
Yeah, well, and also like when we started, I didn't play any instruments really. And then I started playing the violin, and then I started playing the bass, and then the harmonica too. And so it's just like, yeah, our sound has definitely evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Violin is a really interesting one to pick up first, to be honest.
It's really hard.
Yeah, so I've been told, yeah.
She picked it up. I was like, hand me that thing. Let me show you. And then I tried to do it. I was like, no, take it back.
What was the decision? Why violin first? It seems like you're starting out on the hardest level,
I don't think that I knew that it was going to be that hard. And I was just like, yeah, violin, like we'll add some fiddle. Like that'll sound really cool. And yeah, it was like ridiculously hard. And I'm left-handed too. So I like went on the hunt for all these like left-handed instruments. So that was even more difficult. But it's been okay. I mean, I'm figuring it all out.
Yeah, I mean, what a fun thing to figure out as well. I mean, as projects or puzzles go, this seems like a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Well, we would love to hear another song. So what have you got?
You want to do May or you want to do County Line? Your choice.
Nope, you pick.
County Line.
Okay.
So our new album's like a concept album. We didn't know it at the time when we were writing it, but we kind of got to the point where we were like, hey, all these songs kind of fit together. And we were like, we could make this like a story about like going on like a bank robbing spree like Bonnie and Clyde. And so I got in contact with a buddy of mine, Charles Beaver. He's got like the most classic, like frontier sounding voice for a narrator you could possibly imagine. And so I said, hey, if I write a bunch of stuff, will you record it and send it to me so I can put it on our new record? And he was like super happy about it. And so our album is like narrated, our newest album is narrated by Charles, and he kind of takes you through, and each chapter is one of the songs, and it's about this kind of bank robbing spree. The song we're about to play is called County Line, and it's about just trying to make it to the county line because somebody's bleeding in the car. And anyway, yeah, this is about the first time we rob a bank on the album. So yeah, this one's called County Line. It goes like this.
Let a mockingbird just fly away. You got all the money that you need today. You bled all you need to bleed today when you robbed that bank and you drove away. They never had a chance with their nice lives, perfect smiles and 9 to 5s. My eyes don't lie, don't you cry when I wave my 45, reach for that sky. Dre and I never wished any harm on anybody's lives, on anybody's hearts. I swear on my right arm, that's true. I swear to God and I swear to you. The police came in crazy like 40 days of rain and you can't save me. But the police came in crazy like 40 days of rain and you can't save me. County line, that county line. Some people say California. Some folks say Mexico. I thought I saw that fiddle and that 6-string somewhere down in southeast New Mexico.
All right, County Line there by Loud Moon. So you were just mentioning before you played County Line that this is going to be part of your new album, concept album. So one, it's a new album, which would imply that you've done a few before, or at least one before. And so tell me about kind of the history of your records and kind of what you put out. And then how does this one differ to the last ones, and what did you kind of change up?
So the first one we did in New Mexico, minus one song, the last song we're going to play for you. It was recorded in an old pig barn, and it was recorded on like an old Inbox. It was the Inbox 2. It had 2 interfaces, old DigiDesign thing that I had from college, and
You can hear the crickets in the barn in the back.
Which we did accentuate on one of the
Yeah.
tracks just to kind of give it a good feeling. And we actually pulled those crickets from the original album and we brought them into one of the songs on the new album as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the crickets are kind of a reoccurring thing, which was a happy accident. But yeah, it was more folky, the first album. And you can tell, I go back and listen to it and I can hear the progression. It sounds very amateur to me when I go back and I listen to it. I'm like, oh man. It's cool because we've come, a ways now. And so the first one definitely had a different feel. The second one, we tried to stay a little bit more true to the acoustic sound with the first one. And the second one, I went all out. I did live drums and added lead guitar parts. And every track is very full and has, lead guitar. And then the narrator in between really gives the entire album a different feel. So the first album is a little bit more amateur, more acoustic, and then the new album is, I would say, a lot more energy, a lot more rock, and more complex as far as instruments goes.
So you made the decision to put a narrator in between tracks, and that's to kind of pull that story along then.
Yeah, it's the stitching between the songs, because originally the songs didn't have anything to do with each other, and then we said, wow, wait, they kind of do actually. Think about this like this, and we kind of talked about it, and I said, what if there's something to tie them together, like a narrator? And she was like, okay, cool. So we sat late night with, on the computer, typing up the narration parts, and I'd read stuff to her. What do you think about this? Nah, delete that line. Put this in there. How does that sound? And then we'd read it back, and okay, yeah. And then when we had the narration parts final, then that's when I started looking for a narrator, and I got Charles, and so yeah, it stitches the story together, and so it's pretty easy to follow. It was a good time putting that album together. I'd never done anything like that before, and I think it's very unique.
Is the album soon to come out? I'm guessing it sounds like you've done and dusted with the recording at least.
We released it in April, and we did this like crazy treasure hunt in St. Johnsbury where
rad.
we buried treasure, and we made treasure maps, and like we had this big thing. It was super fun.
Yeah, we put QR codes all around St. Johnsbury, and we took like $100 in the gold coins, like the gold dollar coins. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
We got this old treasure chest, and we put a bunch of like semi-precious stones, like pearls and all kinds of just like different gems in there, and we got the coins, and we actually went out and buried it, and then we put QR codes all around town. And
it was supposed to be like the money left over from the banks that we robbed.
Because we burn in the story, we burn most of the money. That's the line in Parking Lot Pie. It wasn't about the money. It was always just you and me. So in the story, we robbed the banks, but it's not for the money. We're just doing it for the adventure.
I see. Yeah. Did you have a lot of participation with the treasure hunt? I mean, obviously cash prize at the end of it always helps, but also burying treasure in April. I mean, I imagine that ground was rock hard.
It was wet, I think, when we
it was very wet when we went and buried it.
We caught it on a day when it had warmed up strategically enough, and then we were able to like dig the ground up, and but it's a lot different up here than it is down south. The soil is mostly just granite, and we were like, that's the spot, and then we were like, no, it's not the spot. Like that's the spot.
We were like, that's deep enough. That's plenty deep. Yeah, it was good though.
Yeah, we had, I think, so when you signed up for the treasure hunt, you had to agree to terms and service conditions. So like if you broke your leg or got hit by a car, you couldn't sue us, and there were, I think, I was tracking it on my phone through the sign-up form, and I think there was about a little over 60 people that were on the hunt. And we tried to get the community involved. There's places that we really like in St. Jay that we go to all the time. There's a new bakery, Boule. It's a French bakery, and they're killers. Like the pastries are amazing. Everything there is amazing. And so one of our clues was, to go in. They all rhymed. I can't remember what the rhyme was, but it was like go in and order something from the album, but that's not on the menu. So you had to go in and order. It's like a riddle. You go in and you have to order, hey, can I get the parking lot pie? And then we had talked to all the businesses, and they would pull a QR code out from under the register, and they would let the person scan it. So we tried to get people in the businesses, like the distillery. We had one in there. We had a QR code in the Kingdom Tap Room. And so,
but we also had them just like in cool places. Like we had one, there's like this bridge under a bridge under another bridge, and we put one down there. And the honking tunnel in St. Jay is like, it's kind of like a cool, weird little, so we put one there, and it helped all over. It
helped. It felt good for me because, like we were talking about earlier, the community has been so good to us, and it helped us generate foot traffic in those places. But it wasn't like pushy. It was like we were just showing people like, hey, these are the places we like. And so inevitably you go into Boule and you're like, parking lot pie, and that looks really good. I'll take one of those. And so it was helping to help the local businesses as well.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like a fun thing to do in April in Vermont, because there's not a lot to do in Vermont in April.
I think they didn't find it until June.
Yeah.
This kid Killian found it. And
it didn't get found till June.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a
really
difficult scavenger hunt.
Yeah, I started questioning if we had made it too hard. I was like, but yeah, somebody found it. So
well done him. We got about time for one more song.
Okay, cool.
So what are you gonna play us out with?
When we first moved up here, Let me tune just real quick.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
sorry. I don't want to. She calls me anticlimactic man all the time because I'll be at a show and I'll be telling the crowd about this song and then I'll stop to tune and there's this weird silence. So let me do the weird silence first and then you want to tell them what the song's about?
Okay, well, he always says that this song is about when we moved up here and feeling kind of lost. That's the song name, Lost. And for him, the song is about just kind of like how music has always sort of captured his soul. It's like this thing that he can't get away from. For me, it's not really the same, but that's kind of what happens when you have two people that are writing a song together. Like I'll write a verse and he'll write a verse, and they mean totally different things to, like mine means something different to me and his means something different to him. And I think that's the beauty of music, right? It can mean something different to every person that listens to it and even to the people who wrote it.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
Well, it sounds like the tuning is done. So, whenever you're ready.
All right, this loop pedal's unforgiving, so if I mess it up, bear with me.
But I'm lost in feeling the shine my skin. My heart's so muddy, I'm either losing in Dublin. Cadence of cards when the night is hot and my days are thick. I'll give it a week, I'll sleep out through, I'm cigarette lit. Ooh, I got you now, spinning like a record. Ooh, I got you inside out. Ooh, I got you now, spinning like a record. You inside out. Ooh, I got you now, spinning like a record. Ooh, I got you inside out. You now, spinning like a record out. Ooh, I got you inside out.
And I got this feeling, and it's sweet like honey. And it sounds like fun, but it sticks like gum, and it's thicker than blood and money. Lost in translation, yeah, it made it, but it faded like a radio station. I could hear them saying,
ooh, I got you now, spinning like a record out. Ooh, I got you inside out. Ooh, I got you now, spinning like a record out. Ooh, I got you inside out. Inside out. Ooh, I got you now,
Loud Moon playing us out there with Lost. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you in. Before I let you go, can you let us know, one, how to find your music, and two, where you won't be playing the next few weeks?
Anywhere you listen to music, we're on everything. We released the new album. It's called The Sound of Falling in Reverse. We've released 2 tracks off of that. We always... we're going to keep the full album on the website if anybody wants to go check that out. But yeah, we release a couple singles off each album that people can listen to. So County Line and Parking Lot Pie are our newest releases, and both of those are very produced. They're more than just what you've heard here. And over the next few weeks, we'll be in Littleton for the first Fridays. We'll be at the Tap Room tomorrow.
We'll be at the the Kingdom Tap Room in St. Johnsbury tomorrow. Saturday, we'll be at the Orange Rind in East Burke.
With Mike Sundman.
Who
is a killer guitarist.
Yeah.
And if anybody comes to that for nothing else, check Mike out. He'll melt your face off.
And then we'll be at First Friday on the 5th of August. And that's when we'll be on the main stage at 7 o'clock. That'll be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, we'll actually be playing 2 shows. We're going to be at the Danville Fair in Vermont, I think at 1:30. And then we'll be at the Dispensary in St. Johnsbury.
Nice.
And you can catch us. I mean, we play regularly, like at Shillings.
Over in like the NEK and like
Yeah, we play Red Barn, Montpelier. We have some shows at the Bare Naked Growler, and we're just kind of all over the place. So
maybe we'll get up to Burlington sometime soon.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I'd love to come play a show here. If anyone's listening that wants to book us, we're all ears.
I'm sure you'll be able to find a couple of spots in a few of the venues around here. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Not at all. Appreciate it. So that's all we got time for tonight. You got to check us out next week, where we've got a guest host, Rick Polari, a very verbose man with many a story, and he'll be chatting with Bill Ellis. So I'll be back on in a couple of weeks' time. But for tonight, this has been 105.9 The Radiator, The Rocket Shop. I've been your host, Tom Proctor, and good night.